achieved since then. Are the Tunisians happy with the revolution and the results forthwith?
Well, quite obviously, the Tunisians are not happy. The economy is a disaster since the uprisings a year ago. Tunisia was picked as the first in a series of dominoes in a very carefully planned destabilization strategy that was planned out more than a decade ago in the Pentagon and by the RAND Corporation and others in Washington to redraw the map, essentially, of the Middle East. And it's not intended to stabilize or bring democracy to any of these countries.
So he claims it's by design, that the plan for the Arab Spring was designed already 20 years ago. And the Arab Spring in itself has been supported by the CIA.
Correspondent in Cairo just pointed out.
Now, Egypt, as you referred to Irina Galushka there, Egypt saw the second Arab Spring revolt that deposed President Mubarak. That was back in February. Elections are underway, but the protests resumed again this month with more lives being lost. Why is there still so much anger, and why is the anger still causing so much violence?
Well, I think there's anger because there's been little change, but also because it's quite the case that foreign NGOs financed by the U.S. Congress and others, the National Endowment for Democracy, various other so-called human rights politicized organizations, are fanning the protests, claiming that
this person is what's the name of it? NGO.
Non-governmental organization.
No. Who's the name of it? Is in Turkey.
He's referring to NGOs. No? He says that actually the
name actually the philanthropist. Who's the name of his name? Soros. This is Soros. Soros.
Pitting the military against these human rights NGOs. So the idea is to create as much chaos through the region as possible in order to
Soros is the same as CIA.
justify, I believe, a stronger NATO role permanently in the region.
Oh, when you talk about NATO, let's now turn our attention to that of Libya. Libya saw the deadliest uprising with a civil war that reportedly left tens of thousands dead. Gaddafi, as we all know, among them. NATO weighing in with airstrikes causing civilian casualties. Is there peace at last
looks a little bit
like
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean?
The reporter.
Bean.
What can they look forward to for 2012?
I think they can look forward to pure hell. The opposition groups were given a promise by the French well before the ouster of the Gaddafi government that they would get a chunk of the oil revenues, and that was the incentive. They were armed by the West. And now Libya is being converted, according to the latest information, into a giant NATO aircraft carrier, if you will. And the Libyan oil is being used as a bargaining chip with Japan and others. Hillary Clinton has promised Libyan oil, reportedly in return for Japanese reducing its intake of Iranian oil and putting financial pressure on Iran. So we can see what the game is in Libya is not about democracy or Libyan welfare. It's about using that to militarize the entire Eurasian landmass.
Well, as you say there, the issue of using Libyan oil as bargaining chips among those involved with NATO on ultimately what they called was this UN resolution to protect civilians, although it turned out into full-on war. Let's now talk about Syria, because Syria does remain a flashpoint. Unrest there still going on. People's talking about everything being on a brink of a civil war, the control slipping from President Assad. What's driving the conflict there? Do you see any end game in sight?
Oh, I see a very real end game in sight, but you have to take the entire Arab Spring. It goes from Afghanistan to Morocco. The entire Islamic world is being transformed under a blueprint that was really presented by the Bush administration after the occupation of Iraq in 2003-2004. It's a whole series of destabilizations that will redraw the entire political map of the Middle East, and ultimately, I believe, is directed toward China and toward Russia, for NATO to be in a position to control the energy flows of the entire Eurasian landmass toward that larger agenda.
All right, author of the book Full Spectrum Dominance, Totalitarian Democracy in the New World Order, William Engdahl. Thank you very much. Have a very happy new year in Frankfurt.
Okay.
So all this Arab Spring movement, basically, we know now that it didn't bring that much change. Actually, only Tunisia. Well, no, that's not entirely true. Tunisia is still the government is still the same government as was formed after the start of the Arab Spring. Other than that, it created a lot of instability, but it has not really stabilized. You could argue that Egypt, to some extent, has stabilized, but definitely not a democratic regime came into existence. Civil war in Syria. Libya is also heavily militarized, completely destruction of the economy. So the Arab Spring did not really catch fire. I personally believe that the United States had an interest in supporting the overthrow of these many these leaders in the Middle East to get more control, because it's a policy that we have seen already for many decades, and it fits the narrative. I do believe that actually this whole liberalization movement was fanned by United States, the CIA, and to the extent that actually that the whole policy of destabilizing from Morocco even to as far as Beijing was the bigger idea that came to the surface, but without much success, I must say. What is your take on Russian television? I think I tend to believe that they have a number of very good points, and that this indeed might be part of a grand strategy of the United States, a geopolitical strategy of the United States.
But anyway, CIA involvement is America. They do not expect stabilize in those areas. Okay, they expect turmoil forever. America, they don't expect anybody will going to take power in Middle East. Even including America, they don't control Middle East. They don't expect anybody take lead or consortium in Middle East. This is originally their idea, but actually they kicked out kind of turmoil. But the result is the different direction they went by country. This is America's not America's expectation. Like Libya, they killed Gaddafi, but actually finally country corrupted.
Right.
But they don't expect.
They didn't get influence there.
They didn't get so much.
Well, this is actually what the writer here, this Mr. Engdahl, he claims that the U.S. got a lot of influence there, but I don't think that is really true.
Yeah, America and NATO didn't expect kind of clashed. So France expect import oil from Libya, but their situation is not like that. The country is completely scratched out, so they can't do anything at all. Right. They don't expect so much, turmoil for those areas. This is everything. Every Middle East the same, and Syria is the same, and they don't expect ISIL get so much power. And America thought that Iraq is the same. America thought that unstable those areas, but not unstable. They just only the more bigger, clashed in those areas than they expected. Like Iraq is actually after Gaddafi, after Hussein, more turmoil they get into that country, and actually currently now they cannot return back into the original their economy. right?
Well, the problem with the U.S. is that they try to overthrow governments that are not supportive to the United States. I mean, the United States is not trying to overthrow the Saudis. They just try to get good connections with them so that they can use them as a tool to keep their influences in the Middle East and keep especially grip on oil prices. But United States actually has been doing this for so long that whatever they are trying to destabilize, whatever comes in place, there is no supporter of the United States, a true supporter of the United States in the Middle East almost anymore, because it's clear to everyone that United States has been destabilizing the Middle East. So United States can keep on trying to destabilize the region. The only thing that they will get is that they are not going to unite against the United States. But at the same time, I don't think they can count on a lot of support from any nation, no matter what kind of regime will replace the regime that they have overthrown. None of it is going to be, nobody is going to be supportive of the United States or Europe for that matter. Because it is clear that everybody is being used to get this geopolitical advantage. The only thing that they have been trying to leverage is this the free rider incentive, where basically if you are choosing sides with the United States, maybe you're selling yourself to the devil, but at the same time you can get a huge leg ahead against your fellow Islamic countries. So it is attractive to close a tie with the United States, but that's nobody's end game. It's nobody's end game.
Yeah, problem is also the 2011 America started for the turmoil of Middle East, but on time goes by, they changed mind. Okay, in the middle of 2010s, and they changed mind. They don't care about the Middle East, how to handle it, and also change the attitude for Saudi Arabia. And,
but that's the problem with the democracy also, no? I mean, the leadership changes, focus changes, people also...
No, not democracy. They don't concern about any kind of democracy. They lost interest in Middle East. 2015, 2016.
Yeah, but that also has to do with the elections, the focus on national issues that became more and more important in the United States. People were sick and tired of wars that are being fought out in the Middle East without actually getting any clear benefit. People just lost, a lot of people had family members who lost their lives, and for what?
America does always the same way, like Syria, Iran, Iraq, 2003, and after the battle for the Saddam Hussein, then they decided, okay, we're going to implement democracy. But a couple of years later, they forget that everything at all, right? They don't care what,
because they don't know how to implement democracy there.
No, and so America don't thinking about. They forget that they implement democracy 2 or 3 years later.
But I don't think they seriously knew how to do that. They've never done it.
Never done it. Also, at first, they were going to
in Japan maybe.
What means Japan?
They implemented democracy.
Yeah, they follow an American instruction.
Yeah,
Japanese people.
So Japan is the only example where they actually successfully implemented.
But because Middle East people they don't know what is democracy.
Neither did the Japanese until 1945.
Oh, Japanese is very weird people. Weird, nobody knows. They just how come they change the mind 180 degrees? They can. But this is very strange people. Odds. But Middle East is they don't change their mind. They follow on the dictatorship. They don't change their mind. They can't follow on democracy. And America forgot the original, their message 2 or 3 years later. They discard the original message. Okay, just 2011, okay, we're going to implement democracy, but this is actually forgotten next 2 or 3 years.
But I don't think
this is American way. Always they do that.
Because actually, the country where they were going to implement democracy, they didn't have that much power over it. Not like.
By the way, think about Afghanistan. American retreat troops from Afghanistan. They never say democracy. This is strange, right?
Well, Afghanistan were more moody, they should.
But strange, right? But they are always talking about democracy. But how come, depending on situation, they forget democracy? Okay, if you don't speak of democracy.
Well, that's not their real intention, but they need to sell that war at home, they should.
But always they are talking about in outside America, they also implement democracy, right?
Right, because that has.
Why Afghanistan is the exception?
Well, okay, no, really? Because, for example, what about Nicaragua?
Oh, okay. They don't talking about middle Central America. This is just they just nothing consider about their people. Just invasion.
Exactly.
No, they never.
Not always
I tell you, they never talking about democracy in Central America, South America. They never tell that. Those South America and Central America is my slavery. And 200 years ago, still keep going.
My
background and all slavery. That reason currently Trump say brown colored person is not like white people. They will not welcome to the States. This is not our belongings, right? Our belongings. Seeking democracy, no kidding. This is same as black people. This sort of thinking, American people always thinking about brown people. Hispanic, they will not accept people as a human being, right? Do they thinking about democracy in the history? Central America, South America, never thinking about that. Always, especially Central America, America invaded, and big company occupy that country and don't care about people living there. That's the reason why many people try to move into America, because they can't survive still now, no infrastructure those countries. Because America.
In the case of South America, United States stands on their own. They operate by themselves. If is a military operation, they operate by themselves.
Still, a American large company occupied in South America. This is just kind of what they say. They try to get money from those countries, right? This is America's, what kind of, just kind of stole their asset. France in Africa. France in Africa. France in Africa, America in South America. They are, Westerners always the bad people, right? They never change their attitude, even 200 years later, right? Why Trump is reject refugees from Central America? Because of reason is caused by America. Those people they don't have infrastructure, they cannot survive. That's the reason the children going up to America. But Trump rejects those people. The reason is caused by America. So this is their problem. Why they do not accept the reason, consequences, what happened. Many people know that, Central American people know that, but American people, they do not know the fact. They don't teach their history. It's strange. But what I want to say, America speak of democracy, this is kind of fake news. Not true intention. Like Middle East, okay, we just implement the democracy. They don't telling the truth.
Well, they need to talk about democracy for number one, to get support at home, and number two, to get support from the UN.
They're never thinking about democracy outside America.
Right, but it's not really like well, they use democracy a lot, for example, against China.
No kidding, not China is no democracy.
No.
No.
So basically, that's
No, always, just only exception is Japan. America seriously consider try to implement democracy in Japan. Any other country never thinking about that. So many people misunderstand. Okay, America export democracy into Middle East. They never thinking about that.
no.
Okay, just only invasion.
But they put that as a slogan under their campaigns in the Middle
Yeah,
East.
it's a comfortable word.
It's a comfortable word. It's a comfortable for their UN allies. It's a
Yeah,
comfortable.
France never says that we want to steal oil from Libya. They try to implement democracy. That's the reason kill Gaddafi. But finally, what they want is steal oil. Right? This France is French people is always in the history like that in Africa, right?
But they actually the French history in Africa is not that long.
But always 100 years they thinking about that. America 200 years in Central America. France is 100 years since Algeria.
Right, but they already had colonies in
Yeah, right. This is all the same.
Southeast Asia.
Yeah, this is my opinion here. So many people, but Japanese people, they do not know that. So that's the reason why Japanese democracy is the most advanced compared with the rest of the world. Europe? No, I don't think so. America? No, I don't think so.
Really? You think
Yeah.
that Japan is more democratic than the
Yeah,
Netherlands?
that's
I
right.
don't think
This-
so.
this is-
I certainly don't think so.
This is what I want to discuss. By the way, what are you going to do next?
We finished negotiation, and we need to continue in Africa, eh?
Yeah, which one? Which one is that? Well, this is my your document. Where are you going to?
So no. You
here.
sent me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You going next one? This one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you follow my document, right?
Yes.
Good. Takahashi, you have a question?
No.
No. How do you think about democracy? We discussed. America is invading Central America, France invading the Algeria and Africa, and so they all always talking about democracy in the Middle East, but this is their lie, fake news. They never thinking about democracy in the Middle East. They told a lie, but many people believe America tried to export democracy in the Middle East. That's a fake. Do you agree? This is today's my opinion, and I want to change Edo's opinion. He is this early afternoon. He talking about democracy in the Middle East, but I never thinking about that.
No, actually, I was talking about democracy in the context of what's his name? The British parliamentarian. I did not support the idea that United States is exporting democracy, because I don't believe that. I think.
Oh, you don't believe that?
No. The United States is trying to destabilize, maintaining their influence and keep the Middle East divided, so that they can control and manipulate the most important natural resource, which is oil.
That's the reason I'm teaching in the morning is the Japanese spirit, Confucianism. This is very pure mind, right?